guys, welcome back to the fifth episode of Quarantine Talks. I know it has been a while, obviously, online classes have started and we've been a little busy, but today we have a very special episode because we have a very special guest, and you guys are really going to.
Today we have with us Poorvi Mittal, who has started an NGO that supplies sanitary pads to women in Jaipur. Thanks for joining us today. Starting off, can you tell us what it is exactly that your NGO does and what it is exactly?
Having me here. I'm really excited to be here, so thanks for that. So basically, Mera PadBank is an NGO that I started about 2.5 years ago in Jaipur, right? What we do is people donate pads to us, sanitary napkins, sanitizer, soaps, basically things that help a woman during menstruation. And what I do is I further go on and donate these products to women in need or underprivileged women, right? So right now it's been 2.5 years, and Mera PadBank is helping out approximately 300 school-going girls. We only function in Jaipur right now, but we are planning to expand, right? And I think the second thing that we do is we try and we want to eradicate the stigma around menstruation, right? I mean, we all know that people still shy away from talking about it, and there is a lot of things that we don't talk about which we should, but we don't. So that is our main focus. So we try posting blogs online, we try talking about it on Instagram, on Facebook, and that's something. So my role in the NGO is when I started it, I got a lot of help from my mother and this other NGO called Pratham Shiksha. But now what I do is majorly I manage a lot of things. I have a lot of volunteers who are working with me and for me. So I do a lot of managerial stuff. I also conduct all the donation drives and when we have to donate and things like that.
Firstly, what you're doing is absolutely incredible, so kudos to you for that. So my question is, you said that you started this 2.5 years back, so you were around 15 to 16. So at a time when most people are thinking about their career, what inspired you to start?
Yes, I did start it when I was I think 16. But the thing is, I had two really big inspirations in my life. The first one being Akshay Kumar's movie PadBank. Right, so it was a movie that came out around the time I started my NGO, and it was about a man who made his own sanitary napkins for very low cost because he couldn't afford the conventional ones for his wife, right? And the second person was my mom, right? So when I told my mom about this said movie, we sort of started discussing things, and that's when I found out I never truly thought about what women on the streets or women who are underprivileged, what they go through when they're menstruating, right? Because I mean, I am somebody who gets very cranky. I'm a big drama queen. My stomach hurts a lot, right? And this is when I'm so privileged to have all the facilities. So even now, I genuinely do not know how women outside they cope with such things. So that is how I decided that I wanted to do something. We sort of started discussing things, and that's when I found out I never truly thought about what women on the streets or women who are underprivileged, what they go through when they're menstruating, right? Because I mean, I am somebody who gets very cranky. I'm a big drama queen. My stomach hurts a lot, right? And this is when I'm so privileged to have all the facilities. So even now, I genuinely do not know how women outside they cope with such things. So that is how I decided that I wanted to do something for them. And even though JE was, studies for JE were going on, but I think it was probably a good way for me to focus my time on things that I really related to. Because honestly, JE was bad, chemistry was bad. I really hated that part. So anyway, so PadBank actually started off as an idea. I wanted to know more about what women went through. So I started it with conducting a workshop, and then it sort of grew from there. And
I mean, definitely JE was a tough time for everyone. I think it's commendable that even despite all the pressure that we had in 11th and 12th, you took the time out to do something for a good social cause. So, I wanted to ask, what are the specific problems that these women are facing that they aren't able to buy the pads for themselves? Is it the poverty or is it the social stigma that's attached to it?
I'm not going to talk about the stats here because they're all over the internet. I'm not going to tell you how many women there are who do not use pads, things like that. But I do want to share a few stories with you. The thing is, it's both the things. It's also the fact that they do not have money to buy the pads, but it's also the fact that they don't want to use the pads, or the family doesn't want them to. For example, I met this woman who told me that she really wanted to use pads. She wanted her daughters also to use pads because she realized the importance of it. But the thing is, her mother-in-law would hit her every time she would buy a pad because she thought it was, used as spending money on things like that, right? So because she didn't want her mother-in-law to hit her, she ended up not using pads. But when her daughter was born, she really wanted her to be able to get the things, to be able to get the sanitary conditions that she was not able to receive. So what she ended up doing was every time she would go to buy vegetables for the house, she would save some money by bargaining, and she would put that money aside. At the end of the month, she would buy a pad, and she would buy a packet of pads, and she would give it to her daughter. So, and she would hide it in the closet or under her clothes or something like that. That's so her husband or the mother-in-law wouldn't find it. So there is a lot of stigma, right? And this is coming from somebody who is a well-to-do family who can afford these pads, right? Not many people know this, but a lot of people are under the impression that women use acids or pencil shavings. I mean, that people do use it, but that's a very low percentage of women. A lot of women in Indian households, what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to go into a separate room and stay there for the time being of their period. They're not allowed to leave the room. They're allowed to do everything there: eat, sleep, shower, things like that. So a young girl in Madhya Pradesh, probably 13 years old, it was her fourth period, right? So in her house, the ladies were supposed to go to the shed where they kept the animals, the buffaloes, the cows, right, things like that. And the women were supposed to sit in the hay. She sat on it, and what she didn't realize was that it was full of insects, right? The hay was not basically clean, and the insects ended up crawling inside of her, and they ate away her entire uterus. The parents didn't even have enough money to pay for her surgery, and she ended up, going away. So it's just things like that. It's also about money, but it's also about the stigma surrounding menstruation. Because what happens is, things they pass down. If the urban population, we get our information from textbooks, we get our information from internet, right, from talking to each other. But rural women, their information is passed down by their mothers, right, and that is all that they talk to, and they never talk about it even with each other. Like, if I have a friend, I probably won't talk about it to her. So they don't know what the correct information is. They don't even know a lot of things, right? So it really becomes difficult for them to know what is right, what is wrong, and then these sort of like really gruesome activities end up happening.
Story was, it's truly saddening to hear that women still face such difficulties even in the 21st century. Something that I find quite difficult, difficult to digest. So anyway, going back to the questions. So I'm assuming that, again, an NGO is an official organization after all, and there are certain legalities that you have to make sure you're aware of, and there are certain rules and regulations that you have to follow. So can you talk us through these legalities and the rules and regulations that you had to follow while you were starting your
Right, so that is true. You do have to follow a few rules and regulations. So I think that if somebody wants to start their own NGO, the first thing you have to define is what your mission is going to be, right? What you believe in, what you're going to do, and basically your entire mission, right? What you're going to focus on. The second thing that you need to have are members, right? People who are going to support your NGO, who are going to work for the NGO, the board members. You need to have a, a document containing all the official things that your NGO does, your board members, things like that. Basically, the bylaws of your NGO. And the last thing that you need to do is get your NGO registered. But honestly, all of these things that I spoke about, they do not matter if you want to start your own NGO, right? What really matters is taking the first step. If you want to go outside and educate people, just go ahead and do it, because all of these things, they are really secondary, right? A lot of the times you don't even need to register your NGO, because the government of India requires you to register your NGO just to give you tax exemption, right? So for example, I did not have to register my NGO for a very long time because I did not deal with any money. So since I did not need any tax refund or tax exemption, it was not required for me to do that, right? So for all those who want to start your own NGO or who want to do something good to the society, honestly, don't think too much. Don't be like, what do I do? How should I do it? What is the right process? The most important thing is just going out there and starting it, right? The more you work, the more you focus on the work itself, the more you learn, and all of these things, they are secondary, they'll just follow up.
Obviously, what you said makes complete sense. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, as they say. It's the first step that you take that counts. So, coming to the next question, obviously running an NGO it's a big deal. So, how do you manage your time between running your NGO and managing your college life?
A lot of time from me, and it can get pretty hectic sometimes, but this is something that I really enjoy doing, and this is something that, I mean, from my heart, I really find it pleasurable to do. So I don't mind taking time out for it. But I think the most key element here is planning things, right? I do have a team who supports me. I have my mother, I have my sister. I have volunteers who want to work for Mera PadBank. So I think the work can be divided amongst us like that. But I think the most important thing is just planning everything out and trying to sort things like that. And I think the second thing is creating a sustainable ecosystem, which we have at Mera PadBank. So a lot of people might not know this, but the way Mera PadBank functions is we do not go out and donate the pads, right? What we do is we have contacted a few schools in Jaipur, right? And schools which basically have underprivileged kids in them, including girls. So what we've told them is that, you keep these pads in our school. The girls, on their needs, their basis, whenever they're starting their menstrual period, they can just come and collect these pads from you, and we will be donating.
Just about how you manage your time, during college and like between your NGO and your college. And so my question is, what were some of the difficulties that you faced while you were starting your NGO, and what are some of the difficulties that you face even today, especially during times like this, unprecedented times like COVID?
I've had a lot of family and friends and a lot of people in the community support me. But nevertheless, there have been a few family members or friends who refuse to talk about this NGO of mine because of the topic that we deal with. And honestly, this goes on to prove that menstruation is still a stigma in the society, even though my friends all belong to the urban population. They are what you call today's generation, or my family is from a good household. They still refuse to talk about it. So yeah, I mean, there is a long way to go, and I do hope that we reach there. Okay, and when I started the NGO, honestly, even I myself refused to talk about it. Right, like when it came to like collecting donations, I would never send it on my class group because it had boys in it. Right, I would send it individually to the girls in my class, right, which was only like 5 people because I was in the PCM section. So I would send it to the girls in my class, and when they would come and give me those pads, we would like go into the corner of the class, and they would slightly take out the pads from their bag and they'd put it in my bag, and we'd stand with our bags to the class so that they wouldn't know what we're doing, or we do it in the washroom or something. It was basically things like that. Even I refused talking about it. For a long time, I didn't tell my school what I was doing because I didn't think they'd appreciate it or they'd announce it in the assembly or something. So it was just things like that. But when I started getting calls from like news reporters and things, I guess that is the time when I really started opening up about it, and I started talking about it. And now I can just like go to my guy friends and be like, you know what, I've started this NGO of mine and I'd really like it if you support me. And one big thing is that the last round of donations that I conducted, more than 50% were from my male friends, or like people, or like males basically from the society. So that I think was a very big achievement. I was very happy. And yeah, as for the COVID-19 situation, it's been very hard on everyone, right? Especially underprivileged people, because these people have lost their jobs, right? These people have really had it hard when it comes to money. They aren't even able to support themselves when it comes to food. So menstruation is really something that they don't even think about. So I think now more than ever is the time to distribute these pads to them, to support them, distribute these soaps or sanitizers and things like that. And we are trying. People are less likely to, of course, volunteer and just go out and distribute these pads, but there have been people who are helpful. We are trying, and we do ensure hygiene, and basically we do ensure mandate the use of masks and gloves. So we are trying.
Yeah, obviously, it's completely understandable why you might have felt a bit weird or awkward to discuss it with other people because of the social stigma attached to it. But I always personally feel that if you do anything good, then it's always nice to share it with others. So maybe you can inspire even one person out there who gets inspired. I mean, it would be great. Coming to the next question, money is obviously a very important factor. So how did you gather the appropriate amount of funds to go about starting your NGO? And in fact, even Akshay Kumar invested in your NGO. So how did you go about doing all that?
I do not deal with money because when I started my NGO, I was only 16 and my parents didn't want me to deal with money, because a lot of times people doubt your intentions, right, when they're donating money to you. So they're like, what if this, what if that, what if you just use our money for your own good? So I always told people, do not give me money, give me pads, right? Give me soap, give me sanitizers. Basically give me things that I can further donate, right? So I think inherently I've only spent like 700 rupees on my NGO, and that too for the website, which I had no other option. But yeah, apart from that, I really just avoid getting money or people donating money to me. I always encourage it when people donate goods to me, so that even they know in their heart that I'm not going to misuse their money, or I'm not going to misuse the products, right? As for Akshay Kumar, that was when a lot of people were like really inspired, because they were like, oh, a 16-year-old and her sister at such a young age they've started this NGO. So a lot of people in Jaipur, they started taking our interviews, and somebody tagged Akshay Kumar on Twitter, and he ended up seeing the tweet, and he was so happy with it. He actually retweeted it with the comment "best news of the day" or something, and that really made my day. And a couple of weeks later, we got a call from this pad company called Nine, and they were hosting a session, right, where they invited Akshay Kumar, Shabana Azmi, and a couple of people who do work in this field. And that's when I ended up, having like a one-on-one session with him, and he donated a lump sum of money for us. So that particular money we do not use in Mera PadBank. What we do with that money is we further donate it to hospitals, right, who treat menstrual related diseases, right? Like the story I told you earlier about this girl who had her uterus eaten by insects, but the parents couldn't afford the surgery, right? So this is inherently where I use this money. I donate it to people who need it for medical cause, medicines or surgical procedures.
My final question, but I feel as though this is definitely the most important one in my opinion. That is, how can we change people's mindsets about menstruation being a taboo in society? Like, what can the viewers do on a personal scale in order to bring about this change in.
Out of all the questions, I think this one is my favorite one. I really enjoy talking about it. So, I think we've all heard charity begins at home, right? So, if an individual wants to change, right, really just look into yourself, alright? Firstly, try being okay with the idea of menstruation. Doesn't matter if you're a boy or a girl, right? Try reading about it, try talking about it, try gaining more information, because the more information you have, the more you know what the problem is, the more you understand what the concept is, right? And that is truly how you can open your mind. And I think the second thing is, when it comes to bringing about change, it's really important to address the issue, right? Boys, this is especially for you. A lot of times you might not know when your friends, your mothers or your sisters are menstruating, right? But they truly are superheroes, because if you think about it, women menstruate from the age of approximately 11 to say 40 to 50, right? That's 30 plus years they're menstruating for, and about 1/6 of that time they're bleeding, which is a long, long time, honestly, if you think about it. So, really just try being there for the ones around you. Tell them, you know what, you're my superhero, because this is a tough task, right? And you just do it every single month without complaint, without fail. So, and not just boys, even the girls, just go ahead and tell your mom something like this. So it would really mean a lot. And I think the second thing is, just be okay with the idea of talking about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you're gonna spread ideas, things like that. And I think lastly, when it comes to helping the rural population of India out, you can do it by starting with the help in your house, right? If you feel that if you feel that they are really living under poverty, you can probably go ahead and ask them, do you use pads? Do you want us to provide pads? Because we can, right? It's small little things like that. Just ask them what they need. Honestly, they're gonna tell you, right? So talk about it, learn about it, read about it, and I do hope that this journey that we're going on, we do succeed.
So I think you answered that question absolutely brilliantly. So for all our viewers out there who are watching this video, could you please tell them how they can contribute to your NGO?
Firstly, it would mean a lot to me and the girls if you guys do donate, so please do. There are a number of ways. You can go onto our website. There's a detailed description of how you can donate. But what you can do is, you can purchase pads from sites like Big Basket, Flipkart, Amazon, and you can send them to my address, right, which is there on the website and on my Instagram page.
You can find the link for the website and her Instagram page in the description below. So the video has come to an end. This is the first time that we have called upon a guest, and I'm sure all of us, we had a lot of fun. Since it's a beautiful social cause that she's working towards, we would like you to please like the video and share and subscribe, and let us know in the comment section how you liked it. Thanks for watching, guys.